Welcome to day 21 video. um, Usually when I have this class in class, we will do a warm-up, and the warm-up is as follows. So I actually want you to do this. So I'd like you to hit pause after this is explained. So what does each of these words mean? Like basically what I'm asking, how many of these chunks are there in a year? So if you hear the word annually, how many years are there in the word annually? What does that mean? If something is done annually, how often is it done? If something is done semi-annually, how often is it done? If it's done quarterly, monthly, daily, or weekly. So how many of those are there in a year? And then the other part is I want you to change these from percents to decimals. And there's this percent sign. I think of it as it looks like a division by 100. So we're dividing by 100. 2 divided by 100 really is 0.02. You move your decimal 2 places to the left. So please practice those. So hit pause right now and fill this out. Don't cheat. Hit pause. And this is what you got. Thank you for pausing, all you honest, wonderful students of mine. All right, so annually there is one year. Annually, we do it once a year. Semi-annually, we do it twice a year, 2 times each year. Quarterly, 4 quarters, right? 4 quarters in a dollar. Monthly, 12, right? 12 months in a year. So if I'm going to tax you monthly, or if I'm going to pay you something monthly, you're going to get paid 12 times. Daily, there are 365 days in a year. These are all important numbers for you guys to memorize. Weekly, this is one that students sometimes don't know. There are 52 weeks in a year. All right, so then when we change these to decimals, you want to check them. Make sure you got, this is always a tricky one. 0.10. Be careful, this is 0.01 and this is 0.10. So if we said, yeah, all right. So check those out. Make sure there aren't any questions on those. If there are, please make a little note on the side of your paper, write a question down, and we'll go over it in class. All right. So these are some prerequisite skills that you need in order to do what we're doing today, which is compound interest. So we've got this thing, it's the compound interest formula. Maybe you've seen it before, you probably haven't. I don't know. But if anybody has money, and you put that money in an account, there's this potential for it to earn interest. Now, I like money. Money is good sometimes for some things, right? It's not everything, but it is helpful. So, um, interest formula. Okay, let's compound interest formula. All right, go ahead and write this formula down in your notes. A stands for something, P stands for something, N and R and T stand for something. So we're gonna identify what each of those means. So A stands for the amount of money. Yes, I think I am so cool, right? Clicking on this and making it do an action. All right. So A is the amount of money. P is the principal, which is our A. So before we were talking about initial amount, and we talked about that as A. It was AB to the X. Well, now our A we're giving it a different letter, and we're calling it principal, but it means the same thing. The amount you had at the beginning when you started, your initial amount. So this could also be called initial amount. So the initial amount of money is your principal. So then we have this 1 plus. So remember, you get your allowance and you get the 50% increase. So you need to have that 1 plus. Your rate needs to be described as a decimal. That's what that prerequisite skill was about. N represents the number of compounding periods. Sorry if that's a little hard to read. It says compounding periods. So for example, if it was monthly, if this interest is compounded monthly, then your N, your number of compounding periods, is 12. So that means you are going to earn interest on your interest. So say I put some money in the bank, and they compound it. So they give me interest based on how long it's been in the bank and what the rate is. They compound it, so they pay me the interest. And then for the next period, I'm getting interest not only on my money, but on the interest that they paid me, and it compounds on itself, which is why it's called compounding interest. All right, so this N and this N are actually the same N, and they both represent the number of compounding periods. And T is the last one you could probably predict, time in years. All right, so time, we need to be careful. in years. So here, if it compounds every month, then let's say after 1 year, 1 times 12, so we're going to have 12 months in a year. After 12 months, yeah. Okay, let's try. Okay, what if there were 2 years? I'm not making very much sense here. I'm sorry. Okay, let me make a little t-chart here. Time and total number of compoundings. So I'm asking about compoundings. So if the time was 1 year, the number of compoundings for my example would be 12 compoundings. If there were 2 years, then it would end up being 24, right? Because there are 24 months in 2 years. So we need to multiply these two together. 2 years times the number of compounding periods. All right. So again, write down any questions if you're like, Ms. McSorley, I don't get why, what. Uh-oh. Sorry, that was an announcement. It is lunchtime right now at WJ, and you are all downstairs eating. Okay, we need to hurry because lunch is going to end soon. So here we go. We've got our initial amount. We need to identify what is our principal. So we need to identify what is P, what is R, what is T, and what is N, our number of compounding periods. So I'm just going to write those different letters underneath each. So we have $1,000, and at 4.5% interest, and it's compounded annually for 5 years. I want to know how much money will I have. Okay, so $1,000. That's the money I start with. That's my principal. Here, this is my rate, but I need to change it to a decimal. So yes, there's already a decimal, but it's a percent. So we need to move that decimal 2 places to the left, 0.045, 45 thousandths. All right, that's our rate as a decimal. It's compounded. This is telling us the number of compounding periods, N is 1. And for 5 years, so T is 5. So we're going to plug all that information into our formula and figure out what we get. So what we're going to have is we're going to have the amount equals the principal, $1,000, times 1 plus, that's that I have to have my initial amount, and I'm adding the rate, 0.045, divided by the number of compounding periods, in this case is just 1, to the power of n times t, so 1 times 5 to the power of 5. Now we need to be really careful in the order of operations that we do this. We need to do what's inside the parentheses first. So I first divide this. That divided by 1 is just that same thing. 1.045 to the power of 5. I need to raise it to the power first and then multiply by 1,000. So when I multiply that to the, raise that to the 5th power, let's see what we get. Hold on a second. So what you get is this to the 5th power is 1,000 times that. Then you multiply those together. 1, 2, 3. You end up with $1,246.18. When we're talking about money, we stop after 2 decimal places, right? Because there are 2 decimal places. So after 5 years, if I had my $1,000 in an account that compounded annually at 4.5%, which is a really nice rate, we're getting bad rates right now. After 5 years, I would have $1,246. So basically, I'd earn $246 for just letting my money sit there. All right. I want you guys to try the next 3 problems. Identify your P, your R, your T, and your N. Plug them into the formula. Be careful about the order, and I will show you the answers in a minute. But please hit pause so you can try the problems. Now, you got to be honest. You got to be my honest students that I know you are, and hit pause and try them for your own good. All right, go ahead and pause. All right, so you should have gotten these 4 answers. As your answers, we got the first one together. So check your answers. Please write down anything. If you have questions, please bring them into class. Let's see what we have on the next page. All right, here's another couple practice problems you can try. Compounded daily, compounded monthly. Go ahead and try those. So go ahead, please try this one problem, but the part A and part B, and bring that in, and we will go over that in class. Thank you. That is the end of day 21.